So my friend got addicted to gambling, which ruined his life and lost everything he loves dear to him. Didn't happen overnight, but looking back in hindsight, little things added up to where it ended up today. Now let's talk about addiction for a second. There's tons of things that people get addicted to. Very few and far in between are the good types of addiction, but there are a crap ton of horrible things that you can get addicted to, like drugs or other things probably not safe to talk about here on YouTube before I get canceled. But let's talk about an addiction that seems to go under the radar. Gambling addiction. I don't know how the hell people get addicted to gambling, but it's a real thing. Luckily for me, ironically, my luck on gambling sucks so bad to where I never win at all, so it seems like a stupid thing to get addicted to. I try picking up scratchers at the local store every once in a while, just for the hell of it, and never win anything. Actually, I take that back. I did win a free ticket once on a scratcher, but only to lose on the free ticket. I've gone to Vegas and played on the slots and never won anything on that either. I suck ruthlessly at poker or at any other table game and don't have the patience to sit there for 30 hours straight, so I end up losing at that too. But some people win big early on, and that's where they get hooked from the start. And that's exactly what happened to my friend Johnny. It all began just after high school when I think back on it now. One fateful Friday night, we were sitting around in Johnny's garage watching Cheech and Chong Up in Smoke with several of our other buddies named AJ, Robert, and this one dude we used to call Obes that lived right down the street from Johnny. Johnny's garage was a kick-it spot, and every Friday night we'd always just show up there. Someone was always there hanging out with Johnny, and his garage was always left cracked half open for anyone to pop on in. Anyway, about 30 minutes into the movie, little Obes blurts out that it'd be a great idea to take a little trek out to Morongo, which is a casino out on an Indian reservation in the desert. I've never been before, and going to an Indian reservation sounded freaking rad, so I said, yup, I'm in. I had no plan on gambling though, but I thought the trip alone would be a pretty sweet adventure. AJ, Robert, and Johnny were like, meh, I don't know how we're gonna get there and we have no money, etc, etc. Obes, on the other hand, had rich parents and had a car, so he was like, I'll drive, don't trip, let's just go. I'll even spot you guys some cash, but if you guys win, you have to give me 20% of whatever you win. Well, we weren't about to say no to that, and so you guessed it, we packed into his little Civic hatchback like sardines and got on our merry way. The trip took about an hour and a half, but when we got there, I felt amazed, disappointed, and excited all at the same time. I never knew what a reservation looked like, so I was anticipating something, well, different, I guess. Let's just say I had anticipated something a much smaller-minded person would expect an Indian reservation to look like. Pretty much expected teepees and stuff like that. Definitely not what this place turned out to be. It straight up reminded me of the Palms in Las Vegas. It was pretty dope, I'm not gonna lie. Anyway, once we got there, Opes pulled out his wallet and gave us all 40 bucks each. Johnny, AJ, Robert took the 40 bucks, didn't even say thank you, just disappeared in like 5 seconds, all beelining it for different tables. Johnny went straight to the Texas Hold'em table, AJ went and sat at the blackjack table, and Robert went to the roulette table. I didn't really know what the hell I was getting into, so I just stuck around with Obes to see what he was about to get himself into. Obes just went and threw some money into the slot machines, and that seemed more like my style. Seemed easy enough to figure out and looked like there was zero technique required for these games. Just pull the lever and see if Lady Luck blesses me with some winnings, and guess what? Which of course didn't happen. All I ended up achieving was setting a new record for losing $40 in the fastest time possible. One thing that made me feel a little bit better of myself was that after I looked over at Obes, I could see that he sucked just as bad as I did, if not more. He kept losing too, but he just kept funneling money into that godforsaken money black hole slot machine like an idiot. I figured I'd better check to see on what those other knuckleheads were up to, so I went ahead and searched around. I walked to where the tables were at and didn't find AJ at the blackjack table or Robert at the roulette table. Instead, I found them standing right behind Johnny, who was sitting at the poker table still with a fat stack of chips right in front of him. Johnny was putting in work and had won on a couple of hands that a few other players had gone all in on. Apparently, they were trying to bluff him out with the lesser hand, and Johnny actually had the better hand, so once the cards flopped, he took the win, obviously. His confidence was through the roof though, and started winning more and more, and he was getting amazing hands dealt to him that night for some reason, which may have played into him thinking that he was actually super good rather than maybe just getting lucky. We all sat around him and watched him play for about another hour, and it was starting to get late, so we had told him, might as well cash out while you're up. He cashed out with over $1,000 from the $40 he had started with. He gave Obes his $40 back and the 20% on top of that. All he could talk about on the ride back was how he was gonna try and make this his job. From that day forward, Johnny was at the casino every chance he got. The Friday kick-it spot slowly became a thing of the past, and I'd roll up after work to find that his garage was closed with no one in it. The casino became his new home away from home, and he'd blow every little bit of money he made to try and double it, or whatever the hell the plan was. He'd win some days, but lose a lot more in the long run. Needless to say, he never became some poker sensation like he thought he would. I think he just got lucky that night by getting all of these good hands dealt to him again and again somehow. So he started stealing money from his parents after a while, pawning things that they owned to get a bit of cash so he could try and win at the tables. He borrowed money from everyone that he possibly could and never paid them back. And all of that caught up to him in the end. He got kicked out of his parents' house and ended up getting into drugs on top of everything else, and I haven't heard from him in years. Gambling and drugs probably aren't the best combination of things to get into. I haven't seen or heard from him in years though, and I can't help but wonder what would have happened if we never made that trip that night. Maybe if we went on a different night, he would have had that same lucky streak to spark some dormant fire inside of him. One thing for sure though, gambling can be one hell of a high, I guess.